Thank you, everyone. It's so good to be here. So good to be here. I am my second, I and my Dr. Chi are going to do like a collabo. So, I'll bring her up at some point. Yeah, so it's going to be a good time, but I just want to give us a heads up that it's going to be very interactive. I want to confirm if you are hearing any noise in my background because I'm trying to, there's some people are having some party around me. I hope you're not hearing that. I tried to get my AirPods in. I hope, can you hear that? I hope it's not disrupting things. Can you hear? Well, can you hear me loud and clear? Hello? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's going to be a very interactive time, like I said. So I'm going to be getting, asking questions and getting feedback. Thank you, Okwe. Thank you, everyone, for the feedback. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. Okay, like I said, well, it's going to be Catherine said, Mrs. Apostle. Catherine, well done. Good to have you. Good to see you. I'm seeing a lot of interesting people on this call. Oh. Interesting. Okay, I'm in good trouble. So like our host, the One Flesh, team, Amara and said, have said we want to see a lot of engagement. We don't just want to speak at you or train at you or teach at you. We want engagement, we want interaction, so there'll be questions and answers, the Q&A, so that I know you're there and so that I'm also learning with you. There are things that, happen when we gather like this, when we have such conferences or webinars like this. There's a lot that happens. You hear things, questions that just pull out certain things. And that's one of the things that, the second speaker had, Dr. Chi, expects. She wants us to be able to ask questions. I'll talk a little about her, but we're going to talk about her introduction. Pastor Gideon said I'm his personal coach. Hey, I have made it. So Dr. Chi is an optometrist. So what that means is that she's a doctor who is trained, in eye matters. She has close to 30 years, if I'm not, yeah, close to 30 years of experience, in that field. So she would share some very powerful resources. For some of us who will stay to the end, there are some resources that will be shared on the chat that you can print out. There are printables that you can use as a guide. You can paste it in your house. And so we encourage everyone to stay up till the end. It's going to be worth your time. Okay, so do you have my slides so that we can begin to get into the business of the day? I'm excited to be here. Okay, so today we talk about beyond the screen. Do we have my slides? Just give me a heads up. Let me know if you do. My people at the back end. So just let me know. So just show that you're ready with my slides. Give me a heads up. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Okay. So it's very clear what our theme is, and some of us have seen the flyers. Seen some of us have shared with friends. Some of us are here already. One of the things that struck me, and I said I was going to take the time to appreciate the organizers of this. When I saw the rider, beyond the screen, raising present, playful, and purposeful children, I was like, this is so exact. This is so good. That, the people who are organizing it know what they're doing and they are informed. So today we are not just going to throw information at you. It's going to be very interactive. I'm a parent myself. There are things that I have learned, in the 17 or so years I've been married, and let's say 15 or so years, I've had children. So there are things that I'm going to share from experience. There are things I'm going to share from also working with young people over the years. I and my husband, we've worked with young people for over 20 years. And so there are things that I'm going to share in that light as well. as you ask questions, or is as you ask questions here. So I'm not dumping information on anybody here. So I'm just going to share something, that will be very helpful, based on research. I'm also a family life practitioner, so a trained family life practitioner. So I work with families, and I'm trained to do what I do. Okay, so my second slide. Thank you. So, how many of us have heard that saying, train up a child in the way it should go? That's for most of us who are here. We are believers or Christians. You've seen that, you've heard that scripture, Proverbs 22:6, very, very profound scripture. It says to train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he's old, he will not depart from it. We've heard that scripture. And a lot of us join this call, because we want to learn how to do better with raising our children, but we want to do better in training our children. Yes. But you see, the trainer needs to be trained. Amen. The trainer needs training. You can't train anybody if you're not trained yourself. It's because of the training you have received, or the training you have received and is receiving. Yes, so the training you have received and the training that you are still receiving, that you can train another person. Yes, so that's why we're here. There's no end to training. It continues as long as you are alive. You must seek to keep being trained. What you thought used to be the norm, or what you thought were the principles that applied 10 years ago, with the kind of society we live in right now, things have evolved. The principles remain, but the methods will have to change because we live in a different time. So the trainer must keep being trained. My next slide. So the scripture, I was referring to is in Proverbs 22:6, and I like the way the Amplified Version puts it. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, not in the way he wants to go, not in the way you want him to go, in the way he should go. So who is the person that is determining how the training should go? Please drop it in the comments. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear your feedback on it. Train up a child in the way he should go. So who is the person that is determining the way you should train this child? Is because on this line it's looking like the way he should go. Is it the way you want him to go? Or is it the way the child wants to go? Who is the person? Or determine. I want to see it in the comments. I want to see in the comments. I want to see in the comments. According to the way and the word of the Lord. Thank you. The owner of Zako, the owner of the child. The owner of more comments. So who is the determinant of the train? As in, who is the person that determines how you train this child? Train up a child in the way he should go. He should go. The trainer, the manufacturer. As I said, the manufacturer. That's an Igbo man speaking. Yes, so the one who is called Ayavokoto, Pastor Gideon. The content of the training, thank you. The content of, so the person that determines the content of the training is the person that determines the way you should train the child. Let's break it down. It's God that gave you this child. He is the one that knows the way you should train this child. So let's go. So he said, train up a child in the way you should go, teaching him to seek God's wisdom. Now you see, the second part explains that. Teaching him to seek. So please go back to that. Go back to the scripture. Yes. Teaching him to seek God's wisdom and will for his what? Abilities and talents. Let's pause there a little. So you are training the child in the way that he should go. And this training curriculum is from the manufacturer, like Pastor Shed said, from the manufacturer. So you're getting your curriculum from the manufacturer, that is God, and you are teaching this child to seek God's wisdom and will for his what? Abilities and talents. even when he is old. As in the training, because you are getting your curriculum from God, because you are teaching him to seek God for wisdom about how to be purposeful with his gift, with his talent. See the assurance. This one is 100% guaranteed. See the assurance. The assurance is that if you follow this pattern, even when he is old, he will not depart from it. I had to lay this foundation because when we get into some of the material, you will see that some people used to say, see, but you see how we are very busy, different things, everything you very valid, very valid. But last, somebody say last, last, if you follow God's way, you will have God's results. That's it. If you follow God's way, you will have God's result. And God's result is that even when the child is old, you will not have to be monitoring the child. Even when the child is old, he will not depart from it. My next slide. Thank you. So, why is it important? Why, what is it about? Why is raising present, playful, and purposeful children important? That's what the writer is. The topic is beyond the screen, raising present, playful. Some people are saying, some parents are saying, we have not finished. Why are they putting playful inside? Why is it important to raise present, playful, and purposeful children? Yeah, some people are wondering, what does present mean? Is it like, what does that mean really? So we'll talk a little about that, and that's very, very key. My next slide. I want us to talk a little. So this is the point where I want to get feedback, from everyone here. So I want us to talk about what it means to be present. We'll take these three words, So if you have any definition of what present mean, just help me type it in the comment. What does it mean to be present? Sometimes husbands and wives are, when I and my husband are talking, my husband said, what do you really want? I'll say to my husband, I just need you to be present. I just need you to be present, Pastor Gideon, some of us as wives, we are saying to our husbands, we know you love us, but we just need you to be present. So some husbands are wondering, what does present mean? You see me, I'm around. I am around. Does being around the house mean count as being present? If I'm around, am I not present? If as a father, if I'm around, I'm present. Or do you want me to be sitting down in the house for morning tonight to show that I'm present as a father? So what does presence really mean? And then even for mothers, for mothers say, it goes both ways. And the wife is saying, the husband is saying, I need you to be present. I say, I'm cooking food for the children. I'm getting them ready. I'm doing all of that. What do you mean by present? So what does being present mean? Because if we are expected to raise children that are present, we need to understand what that means. Okay, so I'm seeing some comments. So I want to see your comments. What does it mean to be present? Feedback. I just want to know how much you know around that. Yeah. Let me see the feedback. Let me see here. Okay, Pastor Gideon shared something on the chat. Bring your mind along, not just your body. Thank you, Timmy. That's oh deep. Bring your mind along, not just your body. Hey. All right. Okay, that's so good. That is so good. I'm seeing some comments. Okay. Someone said, Pastor Gideon says it means to be presently present in our. It means to be presently present in our presence. Wow. Okay. Okay. Being present means, someone says being present means being aware, mindful, conscious. Oh my God, so good. Of the people around you and of your environment, not aloof or distant. Ah, so good, so good, so good. Being present means being aware, mindful, conscious of the people around you and of your environment, not aloof, distant. Okay, someone says bringing, Zenia says bring fully engaged, being fully engaged in the, oh, so good. Being fully engaged in the moment, being fully engaged in the moment. Amara says the mind and body and senses are engaged in it. Thank you so much. What else do I need to say inside this matter now? This is so good. So that's what it means. To be present is that you are engaged, is that you are conscious. You know, you are conscious of the people in your space, you are conscious of your conversations, you are engaged, not just, not just be, physically, you are engaged mentally, you are engaged emotionally, you are listening to understand. You are actively listening. You are present in the moment. You are hearing what is being said and even what is not being said. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. What does it mean to be playful? See, I'm going somewhere with this. So I'm going somewhere with this. It's very important. So humor me, humor me, humor me. So what does it mean to be playful? Is play only for children? So what does it mean to be playful? I'm going somewhere with this. What does it mean to be playful? To be playful. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So does being playful mean that, yeah, so what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean to be playful? What does it mean to be playful? I just want to get your feedback, give me your feedback, I want to see your feedback. What does it mean to be playful? What does it mean to be playful? Okay, to see the humor, in human interaction. I have this brother that just sits down and watches the ears of people. As in, he'll just sit down and be looking at people's ears. I'll be like, what's wrong with you? And he'll just be laughing. He's having a conversation with the person and he's just looking at their ears and just enjoying himself. And I was like, he said, see, life no hard. It's just like, especially when somebody's upsetting you, he just focuses on their ears so that he's not upset by what they are saying. So what does it mean to be playful? That's by the way. So what does it mean? Okay, someone said something here. Let me see. Okay, he said to have fun as you go. Thank you. To have fun as you go. Okay. Okay. See the human interaction, to have fun as you go. More feedback, please. Let me get one more. What does it mean to be playful? What does it mean to be playful? What does it mean to be playful? Okay, we have a lot of adults here, so I'll take it that people are having innocent fun with other children. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Okay, then we have the last one. Okay, encouraging in fun activities. Beautiful. Now that's so good. So when we talk about play, we're talking about fun activities. We're talking about um, things that are done, engaged in an exciting, in a light-hearted manner. Activities that engage your physical movement. Laughter, fun. So that's what we're talking about. So activity, the light-hearted in a light-hearted way in which you engage people, engage life, engage conversations. So that playful demeanor. So that's good. All right, and then lastly we have purposeful. Now I could throw that to the audience, but I just want to quickly go to the next slide. But we kind of get the picture of where we're headed with this. The thing is, I want us to understand that in raising this kind of children, we also have to be this kind of parents. Parents that are present, parents that are playful. Yes, parents that are playful and parents that are purposeful. Let's quickly go to the other slides so that I can talk a little more about that. All right, so why we need to be present. Now, there's a lot to say about being present, several things to say about being present. But here are a couple of things. You can take a screenshot, so that you can use it at some point, or it can serve as a resource for you. But one of the things that happens with being present, like we have talked about, like we have shared in the chat, is that it helps with emotional awareness, and regulation. Why we want to raise present children is that we want children to be able to be emotionally aware. Now, you can see a 2-year-old and that understands being present, or that has been trained to be present, and you see another 2-year-old, same age, same age, you know, who hasn't been trained, or doesn't is not acquainted with being present, and you just see that, and you see how that even the 2-year-old who understands being present might be, is still a 2-year-old, is still excitable, is still, but you see that you can be able, they are more emotionally aware, they are able to regulate their emotions. We will talk a little more about how to help children become more present, but these are some of the benefits. These are some of the things that you get out of raising children in that way. We'll talk a little more about that. So emotional awareness and regulation, is one of the benefits. Children are able to regulate their emotions. As when parents show up present, when parents engage children in a way that is not just their physical presence, where they make eye contact, where they have conversations, where they can, one of the things I say to my mothers, I say, whenever you are having a conversation with your child, it's important that you don't stand over them when you are having a conversation, that you stoop to their height, especially for younger children. Some of my children are older right now, so sometimes I have to look up. My oldest child, sometimes I have to look like this one. So, but my youngest child, so the fact that you are looking at them helps them be able to communicate in a way that they feel heard and seen. It helps children be emotionally more mature when you can engage them in that way, where they see that you are communicating to them like they are very important. You're communicating to them without distractions. You're not saying, so what are you saying? You're holding your phone like, and so, yes, so that can be very frustrating to a child. That can make a child, you know, throw tantrums. You see, if you see sometimes when you see children who throw a lot of tantrums and who are always everywhere, who are, if you check, a lot of times some of those children are not giving as much attention as it has to do with engagement. I'm not saying attention as in class or in school. I'm saying as it has to do with one-on-one engagement. So one of the things that helps children is that parents are present in engagement. So it helps them emotionally, it helps them focus, it gives clarity, it helps them be able to be clear with their thoughts, it helps them to be able to be clear in their communication, it helps them be able to focus. It reduces stress and anxiety, not just for the children, even for you. So, because this webinar is not just for children, it's also for you. Learning to be present helps you too as a parent. Because if we have parents who are present, we will have more children that are present. Amen. Okay. So it reduces stress and anxiety. It improves the quality of sleep. Being present. Yes. So being present, being mindful, being aware of your environment, being aware of the people in it. It helps you as a parent. It helps you as a parent. It boosts immunity. It improves communication. It inspires creativity. So these are some of the benefits of being present. So when we talk about, raising present children, this is why. This is why. This is what we stand to gain, as adults, as parents, and then this is what our children will experience when we raise them to be present. Okay, the next one. So why children need to play. Now, sometimes children, in fact, let me not say that, a lot of parents have headaches and they feel, can this child just sit down? Why do they have to be up and about? Why do they have to be everywhere? What is it? Can't you just sit down and just, you know, you as a child, did you sit down? It's just a question. I'm not attacking you. I'm just asking. just asking a very innocent question. When you were a child, if I'm sure your mother would have told you stories about your childhood, and things like that. And it's just an innocent question. I'm not asking you to attack you. Just a question, just a question. So, when you were a child, did you used to just sit down? You didn't disturb your parents at all in all of your as an infant until you became a an adult. You were very quiet. You didn't move around. You just any child that just sits down and does not. Will you not, as a parent, be concerned that there's something wrong? The child is sick or something is wrong? You know. So it is interesting to note that we are beginning to see that children are beginning to play less as a result of screen time, as a result of so much engagement with screens. But here's what play does, and this is why it's important for children. It teaches them social skills. If you check now, you see that a lot of kids who are older, who are in their teens, are not able to, they have this social awkwardness. They're in places, they're not able to make eye contact, they're not able to, engage because they spend a lot of time either on their phones, on screens, or just indoors. We see a lot of that right now. So play helps children build social skills. It helps them. In fact, I saw if I was in a store one day and I saw a 2-year-old. I was so sure he was two because he was my hairstylist's child. So I saw him walk into the supermarket, a 2-year-old, and he just came with some money. I said, "Hey, son, his son, his son," and he was saying, "His son." I was like, "What is this guy saying?" And his mother had sent him to go and buy Capri-Sun. And I was like, look at this 2-year-old. He went to the supermarket to buy, and we see how that, some of these street children or some of these street kids who grew up, in the outdoors with their children, with their parents on the go, with work, you see that they are very socially mature in terms of social skills. They're quite mature in terms of social skills. You see, you're going to a supermarket to buy something, and I'm not encouraging that. I'm not saying send your 2-year-old to go and buy something. I'm just saying that, when children are engaged, when they interact, when they are involved with interpersonal conversations with human beings, not cartoon characters, with human beings, with flesh and blood, eh, they develop social skills. Yeah, not with AI, not with chatbots, with human beings. Because right now we need to be very specific, because right now there are robots, there are chatbots, AI personalities. So I'm talking about human beings with flesh and blood. It helps develop their social skills. It helps them regulate their emotions. They're able to know how they're feeling and communicate it effectively. It boosts their confidence and self-esteem. It improves their vocabulary. We see a lot of children have delayed developmental milestones, because they are not as engaged socially with people in their environment. They're not so that's important. It teaches interpersonal skills, like I said. It teaches them problem solving skills. As parents, I need to chip this in. One of the things that we do as parents sometimes is to intervene too much, in the activities of our children. Sometimes it's okay to allow children make mistakes. In fact, they need to be making mistakes now, early enough, because this is the time to make plenty mistakes. So they are learning as they go. When they become grown up or adults, the limits or the number of mistakes that they make will have to drastically reduced. So they need to make as many mistakes as possible. So playing, helps children be able to develop problem solving, critical thinking skills. It enhances their creativity and imaginative thinking. There was a research that was done, with young people, and discovered that as people got older into their teens, 20s, and 30s, they began to lose creativity. It was a study that was done it was an extensive study. You saw that by the time they hit 30s, most people struggle with being creative, and some of us can attest to this. Children are bustling with ideas. They're telling you, I saw this, you can do this, you can be in this normal and do this, and they're telling you all the possibilities they are, and it's beautiful. So play helps them be able to create things. Some of us who grew up as young children, as in who were young children, you do certain interesting plays. And with papa and mama, mother and father, you use sand, you use hey, I don't want to use my they call it kom, you know, tin milk and stuff. You put sand in it. You say you're cooking stew, you're making rice, you're using sand. Right now, some of us, we don't even want our child to touch sand. Bacteria. Ew. See, there's more bacteria on that phone than even on the sand. That phone. There's more bacteria on the phone that you're giving the child than the sand that they're playing with outside. Yes, that phone that you're giving to them, that you put on your ear, that you put to it, that you used to talk, is there's more bacteria on it. There's more bacteria on that tab. Yes, so some of us were so afraid, I let them not. But it's building their immunity, their exposure to, and it's not to say that we should just put them in gutters and let them just touch anything. No, we're saying that there's nothing wrong in some sand, some, some dust here and there, not one that makes them allergic to stuff. So depending on what you're dealing with your child, if your child is healthy, there's nothing wrong in those kind of exposure. Yeah, so that's important. Yeah, so great. It helps with brain development. I can't overemphasize this one. Oh my God. Maybe we'll take questions and we'll touch on it. I don't have a lot of time to delve into that. But play helps with brain development for a child. It helps. Oh my God. If you see the activities in the brain of a child when they are not using it for, the when a child, if you see the brain of an unhealthy child, that's a child that is so visually stimulated that it doesn't have time to play and all, and the brain of a child that is engaged socially, it's not the same. It is not the same. Yes, it is not the same. Check it. It is not the same. So, as parents, remember this, that when you allow your children play, you are developing their brains. They are getting smarter. They are getting wiser. They are getting more emotionally mature. It's helping them be able to become better adults. It's good for their brain. All right. And then lastly, it is necessary for overall well-being of children. We've seen children suffer anxiety, depression right now at younger ages than ever before. We're seeing 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds suffer from anxiety and depression. And a lot of these, 70 to 80% of research has shown that it is largely as a result of so much exposure to social media and screen time. So this is important. So we need to see our children, let our children play. We can ask more questions about that. The next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so yes, now the last word that was used, so we talked about raising, why it's important to raise present, playful and now purposeful children. So these are questions I'll just leave with you. I will not talk too much. Some of us, we know. So all of us are on social media, are in media. So the question is, this is why we must raise purposeful children. My question is, have you been on social media lately? Okay. You see that app called TikTok? I've loaded it. I've installed that app like different times. As I install, I say, Lord, what's happening? What's really, and it's so addictive. I just had to, I said, what's happening here? I said, I will not do anything with my life without it. I just deleted it and I installed it again. I said, they say we should be on TikTok so that I could not handle it, and we're seeing a growing, because these things are very consuming. We as adults are struggling, and so, what do you think our children will do? What do you think? What do you think our children will do? So secondly, have you sat through TV shows lately? Movies, cartoons, cartoons. Hey, hey, be watching cartoons with your children. That's the word of wisdom. Just be the ones you thought were good, 2 years ago that you are so sure. You will not sit down one day and you're asking yourself, wait, is what's happening here? you know. And I'm not saying this for us to be fearful. I'm just saying that we just need to be present, you know, like I said, present as parents. Yeah. So have you listened consistently to conversations, offline and online, of your children? For some of us who have older children who perhaps have devices, or we share devices with them, you know, you stumbled on some info, some chat, you know, both offline and online. Yeah. Have you observed how easily they memorize cartoons? They mimic cartoon characters. The other day, my son was doing like this. Meow, meow. I said, "What's this? Are you a cat?" He was like, meow. I said, "What?" He said, "It's Super Kitty. It's in Super Kitty." I was like, ah. You know, I said I didn't want to say what was in my mind. I said, let me be a good parent. You know, you know, but we see that, you know, constant exposure to certain kinds of cartoon characters, you know, can we begin to see our children pick up things, you know. So that's why we have to be purposeful, you know. Some of us, in fact, they even mimic us. I saw this interesting video of a man watching a football match with his toddler. It was so good. It was just so fun. So the boy had watched his father watch, you know, matches over and again. And the boy was, I'm sure this child was like 2 years old, you know, and he was like, "Oh," and then just you know, when there was a goal, the guy just went, "Oh," and then he went just like his father, you know, and they're mimicking us, you know. So yeah, that's why we have to be purposeful in content, in what they view, in what they are watching, you know. So, and then lastly, have you observed how self-conscious our older children are getting? Have we observed that lately? You see that our younger, you know, our young adults, you know, our teenagers, you know, they're becoming very self-conscious, and it has a lot to do with what the media is feeding them. You know, so if these questions resonate with you in any way, that is why we must be purposeful. That's why we can't be random, you know, with raising our children. All right. Okay, the next slide, please. So these are a few thoughts. I'll just throw it at us, so you can take a screenshot of it. You know, these are a few thoughts. You know, see, the screens are here to stay. They are a part of our lives. I want us to embrace it. Just know it's you can't. I sent a post recently. I said you can't wish it away, you can't pray it away. It's here to stay. You know, we just need to learn to manage it well. You know, screens, they are going to be a part of, you know, our children's life. In fact, there are for some of us, it's already a part of our children's lives. Our children do homework right now with screens and all of that. It's already a part of their lives. You know, screens are influencing our thoughts. That's the truth. It's influencing our thoughts, our value system. Some of the things that we are discussing with parents right now is not what we used to discuss with parents before now. Some of the things we are talking about with children is not what we used to talk about now. You know, it was a funny thing. I and my son were talking the other day, you know, and I was saying that, what was I saying? You know, I was talking, I was talking to him. I said, see, you need to have more male friends, you know, and I said, wait, oh, you need to have more male friends that are straight. Yeah. I said, you need to have more male friends that are straight. I had to clearly, that was not a conversation before now. You know, I said, you know, I said, you need to have more male friends. Right now, I said, you need to have more male friends that are straight. You know, so that didn't used to be a conversation before now. You know, so our children, they're being influenced, you know, consistently, and you know, by exposure to media content on screens. We are being influenced. We can't take it away. Now, I saw this information very recently. They said tech companies are using the same technique that casino owners, you know, casino owners, people who, you know, casinos are, you know, places where people go to gamble, and, you know, part of why people have gambling addictions as a result of, you know, casino owners knowing how to keep people coming over and over again. So they are using the technique of casino owners. You know, that's these tech companies, the social media companies, all the free activities, all the free apps we use, and some of them that are paid as well. They are using the same techniques as casino owners to keep us addicted. Food for thought. Food for thought. Screens are not bad in themselves. That's another thought. but they are just bad when they are excessively or negatively used. And then lastly, this is one you must remember. You are in charge. You are in charge. Always remember that. As a parent, as an adult, now you're not you it's the power that you give to media, to tech, to your screen. That it's the power that you get. It's you that gives your power to you. It's you that chooses to be under the influence of your screen, of your social media. It's you that chooses. And then I must say this: we program our children. We program our children. Yes, we program our children. Children are programmable. We program our children as parents. So some of us who are struggling right now with restricting, screen time, there were things that we did, you know, consciously or unconsciously. And this is not I'm not trying to hit at you because I'm a parent myself. So I've had to I've made mistakes myself, so I'm not speaking as, so I've learned from some mistakes I made. But you see, you are in charge. Always remember that. So set limits so you do not become a slave to your screen, and so your children don't become slaves because of you. That's hard, but that's the truth. That's hard, but that's the truth. We are in charge, and we are solely responsible for programming our children. It's hard, but that's the truth. All right, let's move ahead. We'll take questions, as we go. Let's go. Let's go to the next one quickly. Uh, let's go. All right, is this making sense? I just want to get comments in the. I want to get some comments. Are you listening? Are you following? Let me know that you are there. Let me get some feedback. Let me know you're there. Let me know you're there. I'm almost there. I'm almost done. Okay. I'm almost. Okay, insightful, powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Gideon. So good, Rolla. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so here are some quotes. Now, I needed to share this because, yes, so you're in charge. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Shed. Thank you. I needed to share this quote so that we see that, it's not just a personal opinion I'm sharing with you. It's not just a personal experience I'm sharing with you. Several several notable institutes have done extensive research. And here are a few quotes from some of them. So Inc.com said none of the best times in your life will take place looking at a screen. Ouch. None of the best times in your life will take place looking at a screen. Yeah. Even if it is Pastor Gideon's messages you are listening to every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. The best time of your Pastor Gideon. Let me use Pastor Gideon because Pastor Gideon is my husband. He said none of your best times in your life will take place looking at a screen. It's not me, Inc.com. UNICEF says screens reduce empathy. We're having issues in marriages right now, a lot of issues in marriage right now, because people are more on their phones. They are either working or they are busy or they're just scrolling. It's affecting marriages, and by extension, it's affecting parenting and affecting children. Screens, you reduce empathy. Your empathy is your ability to be sensitive to the people around you, your ability to understand, your ability to, be aware of what the people in your space are dealing with. Your ability to hear what is being said and not being said. Your ability to really connect with people. That's empathy. Your ability to see people. Your ability to see, not just see them as my neighbor that I passing, your ability to see people, your ability to feel, your ability to understand. Sometimes right now it's beginning to get weird to greet people on the road. Before it was a normal thing. You're moving on the road, you greet people. Right now it's because we've become so detached, and we're raising children like that. We're raising children, don't greet anybody, don't get. There's a research that was shown, that was done, that said, see, even if you keep your child outside for the next 1 year, they said 80%, 80 to 90% of the time, the people that will kidnap your child, they are not people that are strangers. It's not strangers. It's people that know them. So you say, don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers. It's not strangers that will kidnap your child. It's people that know them. Yes, let that sink in a bit. So we're teaching our children to be nasty adults. Is good. So you see, so screens, they reduce it. They've been connected to lack of empathy. Screen time that is not purposeful tends to be a waste of time and a negative influence. Good read. Yeah. Now, this one was done by this was a research that was done over and again, by the founder of, the founder and president of Learning Works for Kids. And he said, we know that kids who play video games and use technology for an hour a day are actually psychologically healthier than kids who spend 3 hours a day with video games. Now, this is the third part. Now, just pause. It says, and also, and also psychologically healthier than kids who don't spend any time at all. So now this is what he's talking about. He's talking about balance. Say, see, children who don't spend time at all, when you say, I mean, too much restriction is not good for them. Excessive exposure is not good for them. Just find the balance. That's what he's saying. That's English here. Because we must not, just say, oh, no screen time, you're blank, you not go and put them in boarding school, they will never be able, let's not associate with human beings. And that's something what people are doing right now, let them not stay with human beings, no phone. They said they're not going to be psychologically healthier by that. So it's important that we learn to teach our kids to handle, in a healthy way, to manage in a healthy way screen time. So it's that fine balance. Yeah. And it's not about perfection, really. It's about learning what works and improving and getting better as you go. All right. The next one, we take questions. All right. So how to manage screen time. This scripture, just screenshot it and keep it in your pocket as you are thinking about how the help that you need. Just say, God, this scripture. So when this scripture was shared, when I know, some of us will say, there was no social media at that time. There was no, but see, the word of God doesn't change. Whether it is in 2040 or 2060, it's still relevant. So this is Deuteronomy 6:6-7. It says, and this is one way to manage screen time. I'll talk about it in the next slide. And these words which I am commanding you these days shall be first in your own minds and hearts. As in, first of all, let your content, let your mind be full of God's word as a parent. That's the way it starts. Yeah. So say, first of all, that shall be first in your own minds and hearts, and then you shall work and sharpen them so as to make them penetrate and teach and impress them diligently upon the mind. So when it has entered your mind first, that's how you now be able to sharpen it creatively, to be able to penetrate and teach and impress them diligently upon the minds and hearts of your children. And shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. What's the scripture saying in essence? Let's go to the next slide. Let's go quickly. So there's a lot here, but I'll just break it down, and then I'd added a few more things. Just take a screenshot of it. Your values, your decisions, your lifestyle must align with God's word. Simple. Yeah. So first of all, let your own life, let your values, let your decisions, let your lifestyle, align with God's word, and it will show in your parenting. It will show in how you set boundaries with your children around screen time and around everything else. Model good screen behavior to your children. Let it sink in your heart first. Let them know when you are working, and this is very important. And you might feel it's not important, but it is. Let your children know. I tell my boys, my 4-year-old, I say, Mama is reading her Bible. And if I might be on my phone and you say, my mama is reading her Bible. So he knows that, he knows what I'm doing part time, because we are modeling something to them. If they constantly see us like this, we might be doing something very important, but they don't know that what we're doing is important. So say, our mama is working, oh, I'm getting some work done, or we can even involve them if we're doing something that is important to us. Oh, I was thinking, I learned something today and we can share it. So they know that you are purposeful, that you're not pretending. When you're telling them, drop the phone or when you're putting restrictions, they know that you are also accountable, so that's important. Yeah, let them know when you're working, make eye contact when you're having conversations with them. If you're on your phone and if your child comes up to you, make eye contact, put the phone aside, while speaking with them, while you're hanging out, family times. I've seen people hang out, I and my boys sometimes when we go out, we just look across the table sometimes. We're just looking at people like they're hanging out, but they're not hanging, so you put the phones aside. I and my husband sometimes when we go out on nights, we don't go out when we're talking, we just put our phones upside down. Sometimes, in fact, some people advise that you take it off the table. You leave. Some people advise you leave it at home. You don't need it. But because we have children, we just one of us needs to carry a phone just so that. Yeah. So use apps to track your screen time. When I discovered how much time I spent on Instagram, I said, Jesus. I had to put a screen time. I had to track myself, and I told my children about it. I tell them what, as I'm dealing with certain things, I'm telling them, I say, Kai, man, this thing is, and they are seeing that I'm human. They're seeing how I'm accountable to them, and so it makes them also stay accountable to me. And so yeah, so I have screen time for some apps, so it logs out, say you're done for the day. There was a time it was 2 hours, there was a time it was 1 hour, so I had to reduce at some point because I discovered that, the more I got better at keeping those boundaries, I just really restrict the time a little more. And that was for me. For you it might be different, but it's good for both you and it's good for your children. Screen time, the phone logs off at a particular time, that you have allotted for the child to use the device. For some of us who have very smartphones, Apple really helps with that, and some other, smartphones also help with that. You can set it up on your phone. Be creative, be empathetic and present in enforcing boundaries. So this is important. You can ask questions around it, but please engage them. Before you say that, put on that TV now. Or no, shut it down. No, it's not like that. You have a conversation first and explain to them why. One of the things I say to my 4-year-old, sometimes I say, son, we can't, you have to do the important things first, before you watch TV. He'll say, yes, yes. So what are the things you need to do? Yeah, okay, I have to brush my teeth. I have to have a bath. I have to read my Bible, and I said, yes. And that's for weekends, so I said, have you done that? Are you done? Have you read your Bible today? Say, I'm looking for, sometimes you just say, I've been looking for my Bible. I've not seen, not seen, not looking for it. I've been looking for my Bible. I've just said, "Go let's go and find the Bible." You know. So let them have this. So it makes it easier. They don't throw. We saw a video at the beginning of this thing, and it was showing children throwing tantrums because TV was turned off or the screen was turned off. So do it with them. Be creative about it. Get them involved in it. No matter their age, you can be able to find ways to communicate with them to establish those boundaries. So replace, when you display something, replace it with something. Yeah, very important. Replace with something very good. Avoid or limit content that encourages binge watching, long, all those series. No screens for kids under 2. Yeah. And let's leave it at that. If you have questions, we can take it. There's research that shows that they don't need it. They don't need it. I'm a living witness that it's possible to do it. So please, it's not needed. 1 hour per day is advisable for 2 to 5 years with supervision and engagement. Yeah. 5 years and above, not more than 2 hours, but exceptions can be made on weekends, holidays, but not more than 2 to 3 hours is the safe range to avoid it affecting their playtime, family time, and screen time and sleep time. Screens must be turned off 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Quag. Screen time is one to because see, it has been shown to interrupt sleep. And I've seen that I have tested it. I know what I'm saying. It has been shown to interrupt sleep. So this is very, very important. Yeah. So aim for healthy control over screen time, not perfection. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but keep working at it. Consistency is key. Be consistent in enforcing those boundaries. The timing, the duration, be consistent. Not today you say 2 hours, tomorrow you say 1 hour, tomorrow you say 30 minutes. You're confusing the children. And then you say they're not listening to me. No, you are not consistent. Be consistent, stay with it, be consistent. Even if they throw out, they will throw keep be consistent. Over time, they will get the message and they'll begin to align. If you say no TV, you too don't put on TV when they are awake. You too, don't say no, it's news I'm watching. No. If you say turn off you to turn off the TV. So at least until they go to bed. So you must lead by example. Institutes for Kids Health and Research mostly agree that phones should not be given to children below 14. It's not me, oh, and social media before 16. It's not me that said it all. So a lot of these institutes have done extensive research and they're seeing that this is dangerous for children. Yeah. For me, I think supervision is still and restrictions are necessary, even for kids who are older than 16, just, not control, just that some restrictions here and there, necessary because there's a lot that's happening online. Children are being, there are a lot of cyber crimes, things that some people who are, some certain apps, like Snapchat and some apps expose children, and sometimes expose their locations. And so just that restriction from time is still necessary, even when they're older than 16. I'm just putting it out there. That's personal. That's just my personal opinion. And like I said, your consistency will pay off. Your consistency will pay off. It's very important you stay consistent. All right. So next slide. We're almost done. Next slide. Here are some things you can use to replace screen time. Outdoor play. Let them play outside. Let them play. One of the things I tell parents in choosing a house that you live in, please have the children in mind. Have children in mind. It's very important. The places we went to when we were looking for house searching, I said, my children can't ride bicycle here. Oh. It's too slopey. Or they can't be, this space is too small. Oh. We need to get something. Have your children in mind. Don't just think, the money. It's too much money. Oh. It's a worthy investment to have space for children to play. It's a worthy investment. It's very worthy. I'm saying this to parents. It's a worthy investment. If you don't have that for now, make do with what you have, but in your next phase, always think about space for play. Yeah. Playing with their siblings is important. Sport activities, chores. Let children start doing chores early. I'm reaping the benefits now. Reading books, um, cooking with you, playing with toys, plastic or wooden kitchen tools. This is some people will be laughing. Yes, so you can play with your spoon, wooden spoon, turning gari, and yes, sleeping. Sleep time is also, a good thing, a good replacement for screen time, homework, etc. Finally, um, we're not just raising kids. That's the last thing I'll say. We're not just raising kids. Yeah, please, the last time, we're not just raising kids, we are raising warriors. You're thinking, I'm just raising a child. No, you're not just raising a child, you're raising a warrior. Bible says in Psalms 127, it talks about, raising children. It said your children will stand, will contend with the enemy at the gates. So we must know that we are not just raising children, we're not just raising kids, you're raising adults, you're raising fathers, good husbands, good wives, good mothers. That's what you're raising. So don't just see it as, no, let them just be playing. No, let them just be. Some of the things I've shared with you, the research I've shared with you, what it mean, the importance of the things that happen when children play, when you're present, or when they are taught to be present. Those things are building up. We're not just raising kids. We are raising warriors. We're raising strong men. We're raising successful adults. We're raising business owners. We're raising CEOs. We're raising presidents. We're raising governors. We are raising rulers of nations. That's what we're raising. We're not just raising children. And God trusts that you'll be able to raise them well. Thank you. I think that'll be all from my end. God bless you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. All right. Dr. Chi. Dr. Chi is someone who I greatly respect and I love her so much. And when she saw this, she just said she just needs to be able to, she wants to be able to share some thoughts around some of the effects of screens on the eyes of children, not just on their eyes, on their minds as well. And she's someone who I greatly respect. She is childlike, you know, in how she engages life. She's not a small girl, though, but she's has such a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit. Please just help me welcome her to just share, you know, her thoughts. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. She'll just share a few thoughts on, her work with people and how it's been as an optometrist in her line of work. So she is going to be such a blessing. Please, please, please help me welcome Dr. Chi. Help me welcome Dr. Chi. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Dr. Chi, are you there?
I'm here. Good evening, my queen.
Good evening, woman of God. Good evening. Good to have you. Sorry I took a lot of your time. Oh.
No, exciting times. Thank you for what you shared. Thank you. I think Apostle is in the building. Respect, sir. Respect. I respect all the ministers, the leaders, and all the listeners. And honor to you, my queen. I respect you, honor you as well. And you are beautiful. Thank you, man. So I don't know how you want me to start, or you want me to I can't hear you. You're muted.
How do you want to flow?
Okay. When you started, you said you qualified to talk about what you spoke about.
Yeah.
So I think I probably borrow a lead from you and also
Yeah.
want me to introduce myself. Or you want to- I can tell you about myself. You want me to? Oh, you're muted again.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm an optometrist by training, and I look after eyes. I look after everything eyes, everything vision. Vision for sight and vision for mind. And what that
Hmm.
really means is I help people integrate their eyesight and mind sight. So eyesight is the physical seeing and insight is the inner mind, the
Hmm.
creative mind, the mental clarity. And that's what I do. But on my day job, I look after eyes every day. I look after children's eyes, adult eyes, and I look after elderly people's eyes. And what that also means is that I test people for glasses and I manage contact lenses and all sorts of things. But looking at what we're talking about tonight, I felt so excited because the world is changing heavily and speedily. The world is changing in terms of I probably can't remember when last I used a pen. I use pens. I have so many pens and pencils. But guess what? When you come to my house, I have a phone, I have an iPad, I have a computer, I have a TV screen, and probably in some houses, they use digital display units as washing machines, as cookers. So everywhere around you, you have computers, some form or the other. And when we were talking this morning, when I was speaking to my queen this morning, I said to her, I said, it's all about eyesight, mindsight, relationships. So when you talk about being present, whether you're a family person, whether you're a child, so this meeting isn't just for children, it's for parents and children. It's for babies too. And why I say for babies too is because some kids, from what my opinion was saying, is that babies get given iPads at the age of 2, at the age of 1, as soon as they are popped. Next thing is you see kids with all sorts of digital toys. But the thing is, digital toys, you're not born with these things. I was listening. Who is responsible for buying these toys? Who is responsible for giving them access to these toys, to screens, to television? Some people, before they go to bed, their TV is on, their phone is on by their bedside. So my duty as an optometrist is to remind you that chicken eyes, dog eyes, cat eyes cannot replace human eyes. Somebody put that in the chat for me. Chicken eyes, dog eyes, donkey's eyes, monkey's eyes can never replace your eyes. As much as in England, for instance, they love their dogs and pets. But if anything goes wrong with your eyes, your dog's eyes will not replace your eyes. Remember that. Your dog's eyes. I was seeing a lovely patient this morning, and she loves swimming. I love swimming. She wears contact lens. I wear contact lens. But guess what? She was swimming in the open water with her contact lenses. Maybe she wanted to see some fish. Maybe she wanted to see clearly. But the sad part is that this lovely woman, who is a professional, lost one eye. She lost her sight by breaking the rule, do not swim in contact lenses. And she got bacterial infection. Now, why did I remember this? Because you cannot replace your sight. So at the same time, if you're using computers so much, you wake up in the morning, you wake up with computers, you go to bed with computers, you soon lose your sight. I've got friends who are blind, and I mean every word. I have friends who are blind, they are visually impaired. And just for humor, to humor you, this friend was explaining VIP to another blind friend. So when she got on the flight, they announced there's a VIP on board. He was telling me this. And this one came from Africa, hasn't been to England, and she automatically thought VIP meant very important personality. So she said, wow, they even announced it on the plane. But my blind English friend said VIP meant visually impaired person. So, do you want to be a very important person, or do you want to be a visually impaired person? So if you don't look after your eyes now as a child, now as a teenager, now as a parent, or begin to get protective about your children's eyes, the way they look after their eyes, you're going to change from being a very important person to being a visually impaired person. And that's why I'm very passionate about eyes. To me, I read Pastor Gideon's book, The Scent. I love that book. And what I love about the book is about the sense of scentness. So for me, optometry is not a job. I have a sense of scentness about it. Why? Because every time I look and I see people with eye problems, my heart beats with pain. Especially those who develop eye problems because they either have dry eyes, they are getting constant headaches, they cannot sleep at night because they have all sorts of problems related to one thing: visual display units, screens. Because we want to see the latest movie, we want to watch Netflix, we want to see all sorts of things, we want to do all sorts. However, whether you're a parent, whether you're a child, whether you're a teenager, whether you're an undergrad, whether you are retired and you're using any of the gadgets, phones, iPads, and whatever, There are 3 P's you must make note of: prevent it, protect it, and preserve it. PPP. Now, in terms of preventing, what are you preventing? I want to prevent visual impairment. I want to prevent blindness. I want to prevent aging problems. I want to prevent things that can make your eyes not efficient anymore. As much as computers can be very good, let me borrow my Queen's language, so good. As much as it's good, it's an excellent tool to use, to write books, to do all sorts, to consult. But what are you doing to protect your eye? Just a backstory. The human eye is a machine. The human eye. And the human eye consists of external eyes, internal eyes. External eyes, one of the most important parts is the corneas and the lens. I'm going to stick to cornea and lens. The cornea is always the one that issues or gives you about 60 to 70% of vision. And the cornea has a tear film over it. The reason why these are important, because if you're using computers, you're going to need the cornea and you're going to need the tear film. Because every time you overexpose yourself to computers, you're going to be drying out. And the muscle, the ciliary muscles of the eye are always contracting in and out. So if, for instance, as a child, you spend so much time in front of the computer, there's a risk that you're becoming more short-sighted, which means the muscles are shrinking. And you're going to have difficulty seeing far eventually. If you're already short-sighted, guess what? You might develop more short-sightedness. And short-sightedness doesn't really mean that you can't see near. It just means that your muscles are now becoming difficult to focus on the retina. It comes shorter and closer to the retina. The retina is the most sensitive part of your eye, the photographic plate of your eye. So
this applies to our children as well.
Children, every human being, the cornea, lens, has a retina and has all this.
So is that why children are using glasses now earlier than they used to use before now?
It's worse, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So every time you pick up your computer, you remember that you're going to cause headaches, you're going to cause eye strain, you will reduce your tear film, you will elongate your eye and become more short-sighted in most cases. In practice now, we're doing myopic management plans because some kids who are already short-sighted are getting more short-sighted, so we need to control myopia. Then the blue light, the screens you're seeing, the blue light is just the UV light, but in a box. So the UV light in a box, the UV light is your sun, but radiation from the blue light, for the scientists, you have the 7 colors of white light. So the UV light now is encased in a box and is radiating back to you. So that's why you have the blue screen on your phone, the blue screen on your computers. And these are damaging. They're not just damaging to your eyes, they're also damaging to your brain. They affect your sleep pattern and they affect your emotions. They affect your relationships and they affect all sorts. And then you have what I usually will call digital eye strains. A patient comes to me and says, I keep having this headache. I'm taking tablets, it don't work. Tablets don't even care. Headache is not the absence of paracetamol or the absence of ibuprofen. So if somebody is getting headaches due to anything at all, you need to look at the source of the headache. And in this case, the source of the headache would be a screen, would be your constant, non-restful behavior with screen time.
Wow.
So and that's what we do every day, isn't it? You use the computer every day. I'm using one. We use it every day. We talk about it, and then you talk about people who have blurred vision. That somebody comes into me and says, I'm not having a blood vision. I can't see clearly. Things I used to see before, I don't see anymore. Or maybe they say to me, they are looking at things and they have to blink and then it clears up and then it comes back again and disappears again. And something is happening to you. So these are constant things we get. And the question is, how much water do you drink?
Wow.
Been using computers a lot. Do you
Okay.
drink enough? Do you drink enough? Just to put this in context, do you know you can develop brain problems by spending too much time when you're meant to be sleeping and you're on the computer? Because sleep is important for growth and for your brain cells. Do you know? So I'm not saying you shouldn't work late. I work late myself, but I'm a good sleeper. So you need to rest. You need to sleep. You can't emphasize that enough. And then, do you know that blue light is so dangerous for your eyes? I don't know if you've heard about blue light filters. That's what they put on the screen sometimes, or you can wear them as glasses to reduce the damage. And I can't talk about screen without talking about food. And I'm mixing up the problem and the solution. So that when I'm giving you a problem, there's a solution. The solution, first of all, is you. It's a decision you need to make. I publish, I write every day, I write all sorts of things. But guess what? When it's time to get off screen, I love what my queen talked about when you said the list of things, the right time to switch off an hour or two before, bedtime and all that. And keep away phone from your bedside. Keep it away. Trust me, you're not going to be dreaming about the phone in your sleep. And you're not going to be using the phone in your sleep either. So keep the phone away from your bedside because it's not good. The radiation is not good anyway. And when you talk about emotional engagement with kids, with family and all that, you can't be going on a date. This is for adults now. You can't be going on a date with your wife, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, and you've got a phone. I've seen it happen. And you've got phone in front of you. You're replying a text message. It doesn't make sense. So that's one of the things, it can be very disruptive, even for normal people. If I come to your house and everybody's with phone, I probably won't come back. So it makes enemies instead of friends. And of course, we're all believers and we're all Christians and all that. But the important thing is that when you keep staying on the screen, and half of the time you're not actually gaining from it. Because when you're on the screen, especially in church, I know we have our Bibles in church, but half of the time the people on the screen, they don't use it for the Bibles, They're checking the latest TikTok. Our pastor is preaching. And I like what Pastor Gideon says all the time. So you tell me what you learned. And that's how you're going to catch some people out, because when he's speaking on you, you're not concentrating, you're not present. So it's about a determination to create change. A determination to say to yourself, my eyes are going to live forever. The scripture talks about Moses, that his eyes didn't go dim. But if you continue using the computer the way you are doing,
wow, so good. So good. Wow.
You know that too much computer work can lead to cataract. And cataract is a blinding eye disease. There's something called macular degeneration. These are eye problems that you're exposing yourself to. So for me as an optometrist, my duty of care to you is to warn you and ask you to protect your eye. Wear blue glasses. Put a screen on your computer. Give yourself 20-20-20 rule. 3 20s. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. 20-20-20. Outdoors is very good for you. I know in Nigeria and some places you can't really go outdoors, but you got little gardens. You can go to your garden. You can create a set space where you can spend time as a family. My chair, where in my office at home, my physiotherapist came in and said, "Oh, your chair is not appropriate for your computer." So she had to adjust it. I once had a shoulder injury. Part of the problem was how I was sitting at work and my computer wasn't right. So have you checked your ergonomics? Where is your feet at? Is your feet stable on the floor as you're using your computer, or just because you can develop problems if you're not sitting properly? Your posture is not right. If your seat is not right.
Please, sorry, Dr. Chi, I want people to drop their questions,
Okay.
so that it doesn't take a lot of time. So it doesn't take a lot of time when we begin to take them. So please, I think Okwe had mentioned that we should drop our questions. As Dr. Chi is speaking, please be dropping your questions, from what you heard before, and then, yeah.
Don't make it harder. Don't make the question harder. Don't worry. Ask me anything.
She said she don't make the question hard, though.
I will ask I'll ask the person. I have backup.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so people should write their questions. It'd be very good to know what people are thinking, what problems are you having, or things that about your eyes, in relation to what we're talking about, that you think you should ask. Because oftentimes if we don't ask, we don't know. Okay. There's something else that you can have as a result of using computers. Double vision. Literally noticing 2 images instead of 1. Because people don't realize that your eyes can break down. And when you have double vision, you will need to wear prisms, which is difficult to adapt. I talked about food. The food that helps protect your eye is not fufu. It's not fufu, rice, yam, sugars, and things. It's vegetables and proteins and fish. I know some people say things about beef not being brilliant, but I have a different view on that. But vegetables are great for you. And hydrating yourself. Some people think hydration is drinking Fanta, Coke, and Sprite. If that's what you've been doing, you're poisoning yourself. Fanta, Coke, orange juice, those things are not good for you.
So, Dr. Chi, you're saying these things are good for eyesight. Hydration. You're saying hydration is good for eyesight.
Yes, ma'am. It's very good.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
But I'm trying to tell them hydration is not Coke and Fanta.
Yes.
Because Coke and Fanta are not healthy for you. But we will leave that for discussion. Those in diet. But you must hydrate yourself. And if you live in the kind of region where I live, which is we need heating during winter, you need to hydrate or make the room moist as well. Because dryness is one of the things computer will cause. So even if you put a bowl of water in your bedroom or your sitting room, that allows water to circulate. Especially those who use air conditioning all the time, that helps as well. Because the whole idea is you want to make sure your corneas are moist, you have enough tears in your eyes, and then your system is also moist. That helps. Think, blink. You're doing a lot of computer work. You got into work at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you haven't blinked. To my patients, I always say, please, if you're a woman, do not blink to another woman. And if you're a man, don't blink to another man. And man, woman, no. Just blink, think, blink, think. Because when you're doing that, you're lubricating your cornea. The whole idea of think, blink is that you're not staring for such a long time. Because if you stare for such a long time, your eyes are going to hurt. I don't know if moms and dads and papas and mamas, you've seen your children doing that all the time. They are rubbing their eyes. That's a signal, that's a symptom that they are spending too much time in front of the computer. Or you might see your child blinking or squeezing their face in order to
squinting.
Or you might see your blinking a lot. Now, when I say think blink, this blinking and all is because of too much use of the computer as well, or the screen. So,
wow.
Isn't that I want you to start logging, observing your children to know the eye signals. Because I know here we test kids between 6 months to 1 year or 2 years on a regular basis. So I don't know when last did you have your child's eye test. And if you haven't tested your eyes, it's not because of just the computer usage, but because, remember, chicken eyes and goat eyes will not help your children's eyes. And just off the record as well, when you don't have regular sight tests, especially for children, you might miss certain markers. One marker is a squint as a child. Children, some of them are born with crossed eyes. That's what I call squint. And if they have crossed eyes and you miss the age of 8, it might be difficult to correct. And if, for instance, your child is long-sighted or short-sighted, and you say, no, I don't want them to wear glasses, it's not fashion. It might help them in school. It might help reduce the risk, and there are other problems. I'm just dropping that just in case. Some people don't think it's important to have eye tests. But for what we're talking about, it's key that you have your eyes checked, both as children, both as adults, because when you don't check your eyes, you don't even know how much damage is incurred. Then we'll talk about the risk of myopia, neck and shoulder pain. You don't want to know pain. I've had pain before. 9 months it took me to heal. I couldn't move a hand because of pain. Part of it was other issues, but part of it was my sitting position at work. So pain, I couldn't sleep at night. So when you're having issues with sleep, issues with your joints, don't buy the idea like if you're an older person that it's because you're getting old. Or if you're a smaller child and this.
Some people say it's old age.
Nah, we're Yeah. So not everything is associated with old age. You just you're not looking after the symptoms of life. Yes. And the headaches.
And this thing that children do when they're watching, they give them phones and they're like that, with children, you lost over,
Fine. And guess what? Too much typing, arthritis. Be careful.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Arthritis in the fingers. So that's why it's important that you're careful how you're typing. If possible, use something voice that could be helpful, because your fingers, with time, you might get
wow.
Because you see people, the keyboard warriors. So it's literally
interesting.
Your eyes, your health, your mind. Computer can influence a lot of things. And in terms of relationships, I've just dropped it there. The relationship with your family, with your kids, with your spouse and significant other, if you don't make time for those, you probably wouldn't have time for anything else because either this person walks away or your kids become strangers to you. So our relationship can be disrupted or can be improved on how we use it as parents. And I said, adjust your screen time and your screen itself. If it's not right, adjust it. Just like you need to adjust if you were spending 10 hours before and you didn't have time for your family, adjust it. If you're not giving your children enough attention, adjust it. So you're adjusting both the computer time, the screen itself, as well as your relationship. And I put, when you go for side tests, most times we give you anti-glare coatings and blue screens. Then take breaks and move. Go. I'm going to use that word. Go. Go time. Love. Move. Move. Exercise. Swim. Jump. Do something, but don't sit in one place. Because when you sit there for too long, it's the new diabetes, they say, sitting down for too long. So stand up. Move. And then what else? I just said, yeah, that's it. For me and I. And eat greens all the time. Eat greens all the time. You can't go wrong with greens. The thing I miss in Nigeria is that we have so much love. Your screen is the wrong way, my king.
Oh, okay.
You know, the thing about the vegetables we have in Nigeria is some of us buy them dry. And I wish I could come and collect some and plant in my garden. So it's just that we've got beautiful things that we can eat to help our eyes. And what are you doing about it? You don't really have to eat some things, but you don't have to eat the English food because some of the English food are loaded with all sorts of stuff. Because I hear people say you want to buy things from here. But the truth is, look after your eyes, look after your mind, and look after your relationship. And whatever you do, take 20 minutes away, look 20 feet away, and also rest. I could talk for England, but ask me a question.
Thank you so much. Wow. Who would have thought that these things were connected? Wow. 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 Dr. Chi, you're really sent. There are things that you raised today that I'm personally just thinking about myself. And I said, when last did I go for an eye test? There are things that I take for granted. I'm just, wow, wow, wow. Yeah, so good. So good, Ma. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was I have to listen to this again. This is so good. See, we are seeing the comments in the session. You are seeing comments. People are saying, thank you so much, Ma. People are responding on the chat. It was so good. It was so good. Wow. Wow. Amara, do you want to go ahead? Okay, yeah. Do you want to? Yes. Do you want to go ahead and just yes? We would like to so that so we can hear from you guys.
Yes, ma.
Go
Good
ahead.
evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Can you
Poppy.
hear
Good to have
me?
you.
Yes, ma.
Yes.
Thank you so much, PB and Dr. Chi. It was such an enlightening moment. Thank you so much. We just kept having like different light bulb moments. I'm sure that it was like that for every other person. So can we just, if you haven't said a word of appreciation for PB, Pastor Bethel, and Dr. Chi, can you just type it in the comments to say thank you so much? These are, information is key and knowledge is power. So now, you know what to do. And you know that, like PB said, you are in charge. And so now you know how to regulate screens for your children and starting from you. So you have to, whatever you expect, be that person that they can emulate. Thank you so much once again, Pastor Bethel and Dr. Chi. So if you have questions, I haven't seen any in the chat room. Do we have any questions? Any question at all? Okay, so I think I'll just, give us like 2 minutes. And in the meantime, I just want to ask Pastor Bethel and Dr. Chi, for people who, their parents already, they already have children who have unregulated screen time. How do they go about ensuring that from now on they start to do better, both from themselves as parents and then, guiding their children through, you know, winning them off, excessive screen time? How can they, navigate that in the meantime?
You want me to say something?
Okay, Dr. Chi, do you want to go?
Okay. I think I'm going to pick it up from the I point of view because nobody wants to lose their sight. You need to have that conversation with your child. It's very important. You need to have the conversation as much as you want to have a computer, you want to enjoy whatever you do, but you want good health. So be honest with your child because it's not a punishment. Be very honest as being blunt. And the blunt part is, I'm not gonna be
So both for a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old ahead. So this conversation.
the 2-year-old. The
Yes,
two-year-old.
so
The first thing is for the 2-year-old, mom, dad, flog yourself first. Because I've had patients who say to me they don't have computers in their house. So you can make the rule. You can make the rule and say no computers from birth to the age 4, age 5. I have patients who say they don't use computers, and you don't need to have computers. So if they're already using computers, they need to go through a withdrawal syndrome, which means gradual withdrawal. They're going to cry. The earlier they get used to no computers, better. These are for babies now. If the rule is before the age of 4, no computers, then do a withdrawal syndrome. Pull them gradual, reduce them hourly. Maybe today, after school, it's only 30 minutes, it's only 1 hour, and gradually it's only weekends only, and weekend 2 hours a weekend. You make the rules, you call the shots, but at the same time, you make them realize I am mommy, I am daddy, and we have your best interest at heart. Do it with love. Indoctrinate them, man. And do it with love. You know what I'm saying? Just make them realize this is how the cookie crumbles. Because at the end of the day, mom and dad, you're going to suffer it if things go wrong with your eyes. You're going to pay hospital bills. You're going to look after their eyes if they go blind. And I don't think you want to have white sticks. You're not going to be
so,
buying white sticks for your baby.
suffer now, enjoy later.
Oh, yeah. And they need to
Yes,
have
so
someone to look after you in old age. So have that difficult conversation. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Chi. It's never
yeah.
too late to start.
Yes,
So
so
you
never
can
too
start right
late.
now.
Never too late.
Um,
Never late. You can start, just to, just what Pastor Dr. Chi was saying was so profound. Start with little changes, just little adjustments here and there, and then begin to tweak it as you go. She mentioned reduce it. Okay, if it was 2 hours, now reduce it. Just begin to withdraw, begin to reduce as you go. And sometimes we think these children they can't understand, but I've realized that when you get them involved, no matter the age, for 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, you just come close, you explain to them, or you talk, they get to partner with you when you talk with them kindly and explain why you're doing what you're doing. That, like Dr. G said, very important. Very important. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Pastor Bethel.
All
I
right.
hope this was so enlightening, for everyone as it was for me. So, like Amara mentioned earlier, this was put together by the One Flesh Ministry of Manifold International Church. We have our services. We have our service actually tomorrow, Sunday. Do well. I mean, you can join us, for our service. We start at 9 a.m. You can look us up on Instagram and, on Facebook and Manifold International Church, and then on Instagram at MIC Lagos. We also have Wednesday, we call it Manifold Missional Community Live, MMC Live on YouTube every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Do well to, join us, send us a message. We'll be happy to hear from you. If you have any feedback, you can, send us a message by DM, by everything. Okay, so PG has a question. Okay, so it says, how do you deal with tantrums of a 2 to 3 year old over screen use? That's for you, PB. If you are speaking, you are muted. That's better.
All right. So yes, um, I one of the things that I see and that I see around, it's quite common. It's not very common in my house, and that's not because I'm a perfect parent, but one of the things I learned early, as a parent is, that thing we do when we want to go out and we don't want the child to see us, so we just escape. We just escape and we just run away and say, "Oh no, the child will not be upset that we left the house." I didn't do that raising my kids. One of the things that I did was to communicate to them where I'm going and what I'm going to do, and ask them if they need anything, if they want me to come back with anything. Why I'm bringing this illustration because, we must know that we talked about being present. We must know that having conversations with our children, no matter the age, begin talking with your children. In fact, one of the things that my mom taught me, I think she's on this call. My mom taught me that start to talk to the children from when they are in the womb, so that they hear your voice. They hear your voice. They know your voice. So when they are born, today something happened today. I was singing a song, and my 4-year-old was saying to me that, "Mom, I remember this song. You used to sing it to me when you wanted me to sleep." I was looking at this 4-year-old like, "You remember?" You remember? And yes, he does. He said it makes me go to sleep when you sing it. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And sometimes we don't realize how that these children taking, they understand, they can process. Maybe not at the way we process, but we must know that one of the ways to deal with tantrums is to be able to be present. Why are you? One of the things I say when my children, are upset, or I said, I try to have conversation to say what's happening, what are you upset about? Where in a calm voice, you're not to say what are you upset about, what happened, and say I'm not, and they are trying to explain. And you allow them to say, "Oh, it's okay," and you hold them in. It helps them be able to regulate their emotions. So we must teach our children emotional regulation by being empathetic. So what is it? Why are you crying? And you are frustrated and they are frustrated, and nobody, at the end of the day, it becomes a thing where they begin to throw tantrums to get your attention because they are seeing that you're not listening to them. So you are getting upset. So they are getting your attention by getting upset as you're getting upset. So in the end, these children, they're very smart. So in the end, if you are calm, or when you are calm as a parent, to a child who is, expressing themselves, you are able to teach them to regulate their emotions as well. And I need to say this: the child's brain, we saw the video at the beginning, the prefrontal cortex, the child's brain is still developing. So extend grace. I hear that that brain is still in development. I make fun of my teenagers sometimes when I just want to be mischievous or funny. I say, I don't blame you. Your brain is still developing. And they'll be like, "Mom, Like seriously, So the thing is, their brain is still developing. So for tantrums, I'd say be calm as a parent, be informed as in speak to them kindly and communicate why you're doing what you're doing, with them. Explain to them. I told my son today, today he wanted to sleep. He wanted to watch TV. I said, son, too much TV is bad for your brain. And he just looked at me and said, yeah, you're right. I said, what do we do now? He said, I see, you need to sleep. I said, yeah. I said, sleep will help with your brain cells. It helps to develop more brain cells. And I say, yeah. So now he even teaches his his friends as well. He says, "Oh, screen is bad for your brain." So the more you communicate these things, tell them why they are able to accept, these restrictions or these boundaries, and I hope this helps. Yeah, Pastor Gideon, thank you for the question.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, are you
yeah.
there? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Pastor
Yeah.
Bethel. That was really insightful.
Can I add
Yeah.
something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Chi. Okay, Dr. Chi said she wants to add something. Okay, and then somebody had their hands raised. I think it was Ted. Was it?
Yes, I
Okay. So, but Dr. Chi, Dr. Chi, don't lose your line of thought. Sorry, I just wanted to confirm that Dr. Chet still had the question. So we just take it together. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chi. Thank you, Pastor Bethel. It was really good that we are having this uh, mind-blowing awareness, about our site, and I can connect with that. My question to Dr. Chi is, okay, it could be an advice. I have lived. I have everything that had to do with me has to do with screen since I was 20. Now I'm over 40. So I spend uh, I spend averagely 10 hours in a day looking at screen because of the kind of job I do.
Wow.
And I have seen the effect. So before now, I could read a particular size of letter, but I found out that it get blurry. It get blurred, at some certain time. Then I got a glass. Then I found out that when I remove my glass, if I use my glass, I can read it. But later on, I found out that even those size of letters that I could read before I got the glass, once I remove my glass, I can't read them any longer. So does it mean that my eyes is deteriorating, even though I've gotten glasses and I have done what's it called, screen protector on my laptop? So what could be the next thing to protect my eyes, from getting more damaged?
Thank you for the question, Pastor Shad. You know, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because you are in the zone, the aging zone. So I'm smiling as you were asking the question. This is probably one of the commonest questions. You said you were 20 at some point. I was going to say you're now 25, but you said you're over 40, right? So congratulations for being in the zone. Now, the problem you're having is what is called presbyopia. Okay? Presbyopia just simply means aging eyes. So when you were 20, 21, you're probably up to the age of 30, 39, you will still have full accommodation, which means you could accommodate, you could still contain enough vision to see clearly. But the moment you hit 40 and above, you lose some accommodative ability. So probably at the age of 40, you are using what they call +1 +125 plus 1.5. That's the strength of the reading glasses that you may be wearing. But don't forget your two eyes are not the same. Each eye is different. Okay? But if you're using computer a lot, there is a chance that you're going to need intermediate glasses, which means your eyes are divided into distance, near, and intermediate. The intermediate is the in between your near and your distance. So you have distance, middle distance, and near. So when you start using computer a lot, tendency is that your intermediate distance starts expanding and is not equal to your near vision. So if you take your glasses off, whatever strength it is, you're going to lose your accommodative power. When you put the glasses back on, you can see clearly. So glasses do not solve the problem. They just resolve it temporarily. So at 40, you could be wearing plus 125. At 50, you might get to 175 or plus 2. By the time you get to 60, you're on 225 plus 275, thereabout and more, unless there's cataract in your eyes. And eventually, because of the UV damage, cataract will develop. However, if you're already wearing glasses and you feel when you take the glasses off, it reduces, and then you're doing more computer work, it means that your intermediate distance is going to be compromised. The only answer I could say to you is that you need to change your glasses every 1 or 2 years.
Sorry.
Can supplements help? Can supplements help? Supplements, food help to maybe improve the eyesight.
However,
even as you get older. Yeah.
Zooming.
Okay.
Zooming is an exercise. I've tried it myself, where if you look far, look near, there are different strategies of zooming. So I probably will take another time to teach it. But the zooming will help the muscles to exercise themselves. And in a case like myself, with my young age, I can read as far as here. Yes, my queen. Yes, my queen. My queen, don't disgrace me now. So I can read as far as here because I do a lot of zooming in whenever I'm studying, I do a lot of zooming. But without knowing what prescription Pastor shared is, you could be long-sighted, you could be short-sighted, but just listening to what you're saying, you might be long-sighted. So there are techniques to reduce. Do a lot of, when you're indoors, you look outdoors. If you're in a dark room and there's light outside, you can do that zooming, as well as staying outside and looking into a dark room when it's bright outside and it's dark. It's just a technique. You're trying to relax your muscle and stretch it at the same time. And the next thing is also to eat loads of greens. Okras, ugu vegetables, bitter leaves, and all this. These are good for your eyes. Even pawpaws are good. I don't mix pawpaw in my house. So you can eat lots of pawpaw because they help reduce the risk of cataract and macular disease. Did that answer your question, Pastor Shed?
Yes, very well. You did. But I wanted to ask, how often did you say I should be changing my glasses? How often?
Depending on what prescription. I don't know your prescription. If you had your prescription in front of you, which I expect they would give you, if it was a plus in front of the number, and based on your age, at least within reason that you don't have other factors, every year you should change your glasses.
Oh. Okay.
Or every year you should have an eye test. And if you have had an eye test, I'll hang on to that. Make sure you check your eye pressure because being black is a risk factor for glaucoma, and glaucoma causes blindness.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma. Thank you so much.